of Machine's biggest selling points is how it is designed as an instrument first, allowing you to perform with it in a way that is inspiring and musical. But sadly, the standalone software doesn't have a way to record your performances natively. But after so many years of working with Maschine professionally, I developed a method that when used as a virtual instrument inside of an DAW, it's not only possible to capture your performance in real time, but also will record the sound of your different instruments that are part of your song as audio tracks, ready for them to be used as stems for remixing purposes or to be professionally mixed. Today I'm going to be working with Logic Pro 11, but the same techniques can be applied to any other DAW. Here we go. Okay, so here we go. Welcome to Logic Pro 11. In front of us we got the project that I'm going to use to record my performance out of Maschine. First and foremost, what you got in front of you is this set of channels, which are the result of me creating a multi-output instance of Maschine. How do I do that? As you can see here, I already got my Maschine session inserted or applied as a plugin. This is the plugin version of Maschine. And I have it here as a multi-output instrument. First and foremost, what does that stand for? When you are working with virtual instruments, you usually would load them as a mono or stereo output. The thing is this, Maschine has an option that allows you to route out different sources of sound coming out of Maschine through different channels. That's why a multi-output instrument is very important and comes into the equation. So here's how to do it. When you go here to your insert, instead of loading a regular instance of Maschine, you're going to go to this section, multi-output. And that's what is going to allow you to load up the multi-output instrument. Now, once you get that, you will be prompted with these particular extra buttons on your channel strip, these plus and minus. Every time you click on plus, you're going to create a new channel strip, which is related, as you can see here, to the input, or the input is going to be related to the different multi-outputs of your Maschine software. In this case, it goes from 12 to 31 to 32, which stands for 16 stereo outputs. Now, let's begin. Once I did that, I will go straight into the Maschine software and I will go one by one, painstakingly, selecting each of the different outputs for the different instruments that I would like to route out through the stereo pairs. In this case, I decided to select all of my kicks to go to this 1 and 2, then my snare, my hi-hat, my ride, some of the cymbals, the loops, percussions, and then the 2 basses, and so on and so forth, and how to do that in Maschine. You gotta go here and let me show you with the example of my bass, of my kick drum, sorry. In my kick, I selected over here in the input section or the controls of the audio source. And in here, I'm gonna go to sound and then I'm gonna select output. And in here, you can see that I got plenty of options. External 1 stands for output 1 and 2 of your Maschine multi-output, 2, 3 and 4, so on and so forth, all the way down to 15 and 16, 31 and 32, which would stand for output 16. Make sense? Hope it does. Some instruments, for example, my harmony, in this case, instead of outputting the individual elements, each of the pads as individual outputs, I decided to output the entirety of the group through external 10. Why? Because when producing the track in Maschine, I decided to organize a strategy in which I will capitalize the 16 outputs because I am limited to that, okay? So in this case, I decided to make this harmony, the entire group, to be the one that I'm going to be recording, okay? The same could be said about my loops, and the same could be said about this Manly P-hole sampler, because in here I created different snippets from a very beautiful speech that Manly P-hole gave years and years ago, which I sampled in individual slices that will be used across the entirety of the track. So there is no point for me to record each of those individual slices. It's basically the same recording, okay? So I decided to sum them up as one instrument using the group. So by doing so, I already spread out the different sounds that are part of my song into channels that I will use to record and then use those recordings for the proper mixing process. Now, let's play around with the software. Now we're going to be doing something very important when it comes to recording, which is known as gain staging, which stands for making sure that all of the sound coming into my recording system is not clipping. Therefore, it's not super hot. We're not going to be getting red lights. That's the whole point. So how to do it? Let me show you. First, we're going to go in Logic to the menu bar over here, and we're going to click on Mix. And then I'm going to select this section over here, which says Pre-Fader Metering. By clicking on it, the faders, the displays are going to be sweeping positions, telling us that right now what we're going to be seeing is pre-fader. And that means that if I press play, my sound will be presented here, but it's the sound coming in, is not the output of the fader. Very important when recording. Now we're gonna press play and we're not gonna hear anything because the plan for this is for us to see which points are clipping. Here we go. The way to do it is first opening up the Maschine session or the plugin for that matter, and I'm gonna use the scroll wheel or the positioning of my project here in Logic to find the spot in which I got the loudest section of the track. Since they are synchronized using the same clock, we are off for races, no problem at all. So I'm gonna look for the loudest part, which I think is gonna be here, which is where most of the action is taking place. Then I'm gonna remove the plugin and I'm gonna press play. And what we're gonna be doing is first making sure that the sound coming in is not clipping. First, let's see what clips. Pressing play. Okay, that's enough. We can see that we got plenty of, we're very close to the sound. We're way too loud in many areas. For example, this harmony here is already clipping. So, as you can see here, I already have inserted a particular plugin on every single one of those channels. This is what we're gonna use to reduce the input. This is called Pro-Tility, and this is made by the fine people that process audio. This is a plugin that it's free, by the way, and it's amazing. It has plenty of features. For example, we're going to be using this section over here to control the gain, which is the output of the sound coming in. But also, we can use it as a channel strip itself because you can have a panning knob. But also, you can control the independent delay of the sound coming in from this left and right. So you can create some form of quasi widener, or you can even increase the width of the sound by using the knob. Make it mono and apply many bells and whistles. This is a fantastic plugin, and the best part is free. You can find the link for the download in the description of this video. So what I'm gonna do first, I'm gonna press play once again, and I'm gonna make sure that we have access to the channel strips here, so we can see exactly when we remove the clip. So I remove the clips first from the visualizer. I'm gonna press play, and then I'm gonna dock this down. Okay, that looks good. And I know no sound at all yet. But by doing this, you already understood the principle. I'm gonna go across the different channel strips just to make sure that we don't have an extra super loud signal coming in on any of those instances. And once that's done, I'm gonna come back to you. So, see you later. Okay, I'm done with this. Now I'm gonna finally be pushing faders so we can actually hear some action. So now we got this as the way in, okay? These channel strips are the ones that we're gonna be using to feed our recording setup with the sound coming out of Maschine. The next stage is this. You will see that I got another set of faders here, which is contained inside of this folder. If I click here, now we got a replica, another 16 pads or channel strips that I will be using for recording the sound coming out of Maschine. How am I going to do it? First, you can see that my kick, the input of this channel, corresponds to the output of the channel that contains the sound coming in from Maschine. If I press play and I push this fader, we will be able to hear some music. You'll see. And you might be asking, why are you doing that? Easy. Because by having access to these channel strips, I will arm them, get them ready for recording, and by doing so, I would be able to record everything that is coming from Maschine. Let me do this quick example. Look at this. Excellent! Isn't that beautiful? I recorded the entirety of the performance with each of the channels independently from each other. By doing this, I now will be able to perform while tracking without any issue. And the best part, This means that I will be dealing now with audio, no longer MIDI, which means that I can send this, for example, to a mixing engineer, if that would be the case, all of the different stems, all of the different channels, so that guy can actually make the best sounding mix possible out of my performance. Or if it's a case like me, I would be able to finally run it through my hardware over here and also play with different plugins and stuff that otherwise I wouldn't be able to do in Maschine, for example, and also taking advantage of software such as Logic Pro 11 or, for example, Luna, which are fantastic when it comes to mixing. Now the next stage is, of course, recording, so I'm going to do it. See you there.
Karma is an Oriental word which has found its way into most English dictionaries. It stands for a principle of Eastern philosophy which is variously interpreted. Shall he reap? Way into most English dictionaries.
Okay, so we're done with the recording. As you can see, every single one of my channels are properly recorded and they are presented now to me as audio files. No MIDI involved. Because with this, now I can send these files as stems to any other DAW for them to be mixed or remixed as well. And since we're dealing with audio, we can take advantage of making different takes so we can get the best out of the bunch. Or in this case, as you can see here, I made a mistake, so I can re-record that particular section exclusively, allowing me to make a proper and better rendition of my performance. And just as a little disclaimer, there is a mistake over here in this area in which I mistakenly routed out incorrectly these hi-hats. But it's very easy to fix because now that I know that they are hi-hats, I'm gonna simply drop them in the hi-hat area, the track, and they are perfectly positioned now. If you like what you saw, please let me know by clicking on the like button underneath, and don't forget to leave any question if you happen to have one in the comment section down below. With that being said, as every single time that I meet you, I gotta remind you that you should never let anybody tell you what to dream about. And remember that I will see you when I see you.